Good evening, everyone. Tony Gonzalez calling tonight's planning board meeting together for August 5th, 2025. Start with a roll call. Marty Kroll,
Here.
Matthew Gallagher,
Here.
Yolanda Spinola,
Here.
James Sweeney,
Here.
and I'm present as well. We need to start with the view and acceptance of last month's meeting minute, please. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept July minutes.
Second?
All right, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Yolanda,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes. Okay. First up, we have a public hearing for Levitt Brook Urban Renewal Plan. Who's presenting on that? Rob, is that you?
I guess I am bringing over our consultants from Ennis Land Strategies, and who are popping into the room right now. For the last 2 years, we have been working with a mass development grant to several mass development grants to prepare a master plan, which this body had approved last year, for the area around what was the Good Samaritan Medical Center and is now the Boston Medical Center South. It's an area that we call Lovett Brook because the 60 or so acre site is bisected by Lovett Brook as it traverses through the city on its way to connect with Salisbury Brook. And Emily's got a hot mic, just FYI. The other major tenant in this area, major landowner, is the Harbor One Bank, which is being acquired by Eastern Bank, and we're very excited about that merger. And it creates some really strong synergies for redevelopment in the area. So we're excited to have a new owner at the hospital, which is Boston Medical Center, which is a branch of Boston BU and a major research and development player in Massachusetts, and by Eastern Bank, excuse me, which is a rapidly growing independent banking entity in New England. So the time is here that we can take advantage of this growth and take the master plan that was developed and convert it into an urban renewal plan. An urban renewal plan basically gives some power and responsibilities to the redevelopment authority to help facilitate and develop and implement the master plan. And so with that, I would like to introduce Emily Ennis from Ennis Land Strategies Group, and she will take us through the bits and pieces of the urban renewal plan. And at the end of this process, it's our hope that the planning board will make a finding that the urban renewal plan supports and does not conflict with the citywide comprehensive plan. And at the end of that, when you do, it then will go on eventually to city council and to the state for their approvals. So Emily, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, planning board members. I apologize for first of all, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. We had some technical difficulties when I switched from being an attendee to a panelist, so I just wanted to check. Thank you all so much for having us here. I'm joined, two of my colleagues are also on the webinar listening in. Ewan Ennis, our CTO and Director of our Municipal Services Division, and Paula Ramos Martinez, who is our Chief Resilience Officer. Both have contributed to this planning process. I'm just going to share my screen and show you the presentation that we have for you tonight. And this is just going to take you through some high-level parts of the process and your role in finding conformance with the comprehensive plan. So in terms of the people who have been involved, we have been working with a steering committee as well as city staff. This process, both the original land use plan and this urban renewal plan, have been sponsored by Mass Development. And we have been joined in this process by two other consultants, RKG Associates and Ty and Bond. Last year, we had an extensive community process. So there was an original community process during the preparation of the land use plan. However, as that was done during COVID, we wanted to make sure that we included the community again as we approach the preparation of the urban renewal plan. We also included the community not just on the components of the urban renewal plan, but also on the zoning. Within the urban renewal plan, we talk about the existing zoning and also the proposed zoning. So the community was involved in both the discussion of the plan itself and the zoning for this area, the proposed zoning for this area. We also had a memorable on-site meeting with business owners in the area, cut slightly short by a major thunderstorm, but we regrouped in a local restaurant. So we were able to continue that. We're now in the approval process. So we met with the steering committee earlier this month, or late this month. I forgot we're in August now, meeting with you now. And we also need to meet with the redevelopment authority and the city council. We have asked the steering committee, and we ask you as well, if you have any additional comments after tonight's meeting, to get them to us by August 11th. And we'll talk more at the end about the next step. Key points to understand is that this is coming out of the land use plan for Levitt Brook, and these were the key ideas for that. Your role comes in on creating the urban renewal plan in terms of finding conformance, and also when the zoning comes up, you will of course be involved in that process. City council votes on the zoning, but then it comes back to you as part of implementation. So you do have an important role in any future development that happens on this site. There are other pieces, a district improvement financing program, and future traffic studies for the area that were discussed. So you can see here the land use plan that came out of it. You see these brightly colored buildings that are newer buildings. The shading we anticipate to be part of future private actions by private landowners. Obviously, Boston Medical Center and related medical uses in the purple here is existing. This red over to the left is existing retail and commercial. And then these brighter colors, the red and the mixed use of the yellow, are where we anticipate that the Brockton Redevelopment Authority would assist with parcel assembly and working with future developers in this area. And you can also, in addition to the development as a key next step, it's also daylighting Levitt Brook, which is either underground. In fact, in one case, it's under a building. It's under the 7-Eleven convenience there, or it's culvertized. So it is not working to its full capacity as an existing brook. Its wetlands are impaired. And so an important component to this plan is the improvement of Levitt Brook, daylighting it, restoring the wetlands, and then creating a publicly accessible shared use path throughout that would support not just Levitt Brook, but the abutting residents of the area. It would also allow the wetlands to act as the actual stormwater storage that they are designed by nature to be. So there's a key piece of how the development and the public improvement, or the environmental improvements, work together to make Levitt Brook much more of an asset to this area, including the existing neighborhood. And you can see focused here the parts that are restoration of the entire stream, the adaptive paths in yellow, and then the wetlands in the green. The BRA's authority, the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, comes in terms of potential acquisitions. We let now not all of these parcels, and in fact, in some cases, none of these parcels may be acquired, but to serve the public purposes of the plan, we wanted to be able to acquire these narrow, potentially acquire these narrow, deep parcels that are left over from the original platting of this area that was never fully accomplished. You can see with Old Oak Street here, you can see with the paper streets here. Fifth Avenue was actually originally platted as a much larger street, much longer street. So these kind of broke down in the early history of this area, and authorizing the Development Authority to work with property owners, but if not, to potentially acquire them by any number of means available to the BRA is important for the future development of this area. We've also
Emily?
identified some portions of the
I was-
parcels around the hospital to allow. for
Excuse me,
this
Emily?
to work there.
Emily,
Can you move a little closer to your microphone?
Yes, Rob, sorry. Go ahead.
let's see if that's.
Could you move a little closer to your microphone?
I'm sorry, Rob, I can't hear you.
Could you move closer to the microphone?
Now say something.
You turned me off.
Say something again on the call, please.
Yeah, it's getting better. Okay, we can hear you a little
Yeah.
bit better.
I can't hear him. You can hear me here?
Right, that one.
Switch. That's
Can you hear us?
Much,
Thank you.
much better. Thank you.
Thank you. So sorry about that. We're all in a smaller room, and I think the headphones are reacting to each other. So the timeline that we've established, typically a plan like this takes the initial steps tend to be the zoning steps, but development can take over 20 years, right? This is something that happens over time. It's not an immediate thing, but you can see the steps here of negotiating with property owners, issuing RFPs, land disposition agreements. There's a process that's followed throughout this and has many public steps to that. So your role as planning board members in an urban renewal plan is to find that the urban renewal plan is based upon a local survey, which we do with GIS. There's a whole bunch of maps that you'll see in the draft and conforms to a comprehensive plan for the locality as a whole, so for the city of Brockton. And what we've done is we've broken out those actions with their strategies within the comprehensive plan that relate to this. So LU is land use, and there are 3 areas of the land use strategies from the comprehensive plan. One for economic development, one, actually 2 for housing, 1 for open space, and 1 for natural and cultural resources. And so we tried very hard to link the goals of this plan and the actions of this plan to the comprehensive plan. I'm happy to answer more questions about that. There's also, as I mentioned earlier, we have to, as part of the urban renewal plan, discuss the current zoning and also identify any proposed zoning. I think you've heard from us before on the form-based code. Part of one of the 4 neighborhoods is the Levitt Brook neighborhood. You can see here some quotes from people who are involved in the citywide workshop in June of 2024. This is the current zoning, the R3, the C5, and the C2. The current zoning does not allow for many of the uses that we talked about in the land use plan, including light manufacturing or R&D. It also doesn't allow the mixed use that would tie the residential neighborhoods to the north of the site to the plan itself. So the proposed zoning includes commercial business here to allow that gas station to continue to exist, and then mixed use 1 and mixed use 2. Just as a quick summary, you can see here the characteristics of the CB district is that it's commercial only. Mixed use 1 and 2 is a mix of commercial and residential. And then we've called out the existing uses on the site that would still be allowed within these 3 zoning districts. SP is a special permit and P is permitted as of right. And then the new uses that would come in. So this is just a small summary of the overall zoning, but just seeing that we are expanding the ability of this neighborhood or this parcel, the set of parcels to integrate with the neighborhood to provide uses that bring people together, but also support the existing hospital, lab use, and medical office use that's in the area. Proposed zoning, this just gives you a sense of the height requirements for the new zoning districts and the other dimensional standards. It's not very far off what's in the existing neighborhood now, but gives, again, some more flexibility than is currently allowed under the existing zoning. And finally, the proposed zoning has development standards, and we are recommending an expedited permitting process for anything that the BRA has a land disposition agreement with to allow that type of development to move forward expeditiously, again, to satisfy the goals of the urban renewal plan. And then finally, for next steps, as I mentioned, comments, anything beyond you have for us today, comments are due on August 11th. The Redevelopment Authority will then meet to do what's called a declaration of necessity. At the same time, we will be submitting this to EOHLC, that's the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. They do an informal review on urban renewal plans just to make sure everything is technically correct. Then the city council will do its first read and will go to ordinance committee. And about that time, we need to notify Mass Historical Commission of the public hearing date. City council has a public hearing, and then we submit the application to EOHLC after the BRAs or the city solicitor has provided a letter stating this is consistent with applicable laws. So there are multiple points, including tonight, at which the public has a chance to continue to offer their comments or support. And with that, I'm happy to turn it over to any questions that you may have.
Oh, thank you, Emily. I do have a couple. What was the feedback from the current businesses that you met with?
They were interested to know what the plan was about, why an urban renewal plan. I think they were interested. They, of course, wanted to know about the acquisitions, and we explained that when we identify potential acquisitions, they may not happen, but they are part of an urban planning process, urban renewal planning process. So I think their main concern was that they continue to be kept in the loop about the next steps and what's happening. Rob, I don't know if you have any other comments from that meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of effort has been put into the planning process to make space available to them. Should they choose to relocate back into the project. You'll notice in the master land use plan, there's 2 pad sites on either side of the new brook that fronts Oak Street. And those would be really great locations for the restaurants that we have in the area to expand and get better visibility and take advantage of the one of them backs up onto the brook itself. So you can imagine outdoor dining in a natural setting. On the businesses that front Pearl Street stay mostly where they are. There's not a lot of movement. But you'll see that as we create new mixed use development on Oak Street West, going towards the expressway, there's much more and better accessed ground floor retail that has better visibility from Oak Street. You might remember there is a strip center that is diagonal in across the back of the property, that if you didn't know that there was something there, you would never see it from the road. So we're hoping that these new spaces will be much more appropriate and a better fit for the businesses, so they have better access to the highway and better parking or better access to the road.
As we were talking
that
about the
note-
phase. Sorry, go ahead, Chairman.
On that note, I didn't see those businesses listed, like the dog groomers, the Chinese restaurant. I saw Doyle's listed as existing businesses, but I didn't see that little diagonal strip mall or whatever you want to call it.
Not all businesses were on the advisory committee. We chose 2 small businesses and the 2 large landowners, that being the hospital and the bank, and then Doyle's, and there was another small business from the area that was on the advisory committee. But everybody had been receiving mail. We send out postcards to all the businesses and all the property owners, which are not necessarily the same people, at the very beginning of this process, to let them know when all the meetings were, and then make available materials to them as the meetings happen. So we
And during the
specifically
land
went
use
out
plan,
and
we also had yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
we
Rob.
specifically went out and met with several of the property owners on site in the middle of a thunderstorm, which is very interesting as we're trying to hold on to a tent in the wind.
I have
We
one
also
last
did
item.
have a survey of all the employees during the land use plan, and we're clear during the land use plan that this was going to turn into an urban renewal plan. So we had the employees and we had 3 surveys, one for employees of the area, one for business owners of the area, one for residents of the area. And those are all documented in the earlier plan.
Thank you. One last question
Mhm.
from me. You said it could take up to 20 years for this, but realistically, like, is there a shorter time frame, a goal, a target?
We're hoping that with this new relationship with the Boston Medical Center and their ability to or potential for relocating some of their services out of the south side of Boston. The mayor and I are actually meeting with them next Wednesday to, well, we've been meeting with the local representatives. This is our first chance to meet with the Boston folks. This is a perfect opportunity to get some of their new research and development facilities built in a more pleasant environment than that around Mass and Cass. And we're hoping that they and other medical real estate investment trusts are interested in developing in this area.
So realistically, still 20 years, or you think this could?
Oh,
be
20 years is the life of the plan. I'm hoping that we'll start to
Mhm.
see development within 5 years.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
If we owned all the land and could make that available, it certainly would go a lot faster. But because there's 30, 40 different owners out here, somebody's going to have to do the site acquisition, and that takes a little bit of time and money.
Yeah. All right, other board members, questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a few questions. So I want to question on the brook. Is there a gonna there? Can you get a little bit more detailed as to what's going on with the brook?
Yeah, so right now I'll just, if you can see my cursor, I'll just trace it over. You can see it comes through here. It actually goes underneath Oak Street Extension. There's an existing, I think this is roughly the location of the 7-Eleven, so it actually goes underneath the building. Pops out again a little bit around here. It goes back down and under, but it's culvertized in this area, which means it's within a concrete channel. And I'm not quite, we didn't go all the way into the wetlands and the, but I think it stays culvertized for quite a while. And so what
Yes.
happens with that is the water storage is impaired. And so right now there's a lot of pavement on this site. So what happens is the water runs off the pavement, collects in the portions of the brook and the wetlands that are open. That impairs the quality of the wetlands and impairs the quality of the water. So there's 2 things around that. One is, how do we deal with the stormwater management? How do we keep it from deteriorating the wetlands and the stream? And because it's channelized, it can't work like it's supposed to. So one idea is, let's restore that. And then the second idea is, if we're restoring that, the hospital already has a little bit of a healing garden near it. We're adding residential here. We're trying to make a better space for the businesses that exist now, plus a little bit more space maybe for some new businesses. What if we restored the wetlands and created walking paths around it at the same time? So now you've created an amenity for employees, an amenity for residents, possibly an additional amenity for the hospital, maybe for people who are visiting patients in there and need a break. And so kind of killing 2 birds at 1 stone in terms of restoring the natural function, but also turning that into a neighborhood amenity. If we were to zoom out, there's not a lot of green, especially north of the site. There's more to the west of the site, but there's not a lot of green north to the site. And this is as we found when touring it, this is a really hot area, even on a sunny spring day, as opposed to the summer. So being able to give some green relief to the neighborhood as well as the site was important to us.
Okay. So if making this like a boardwalk or a brook walk, are we addressing Oak Street at all? Because I don't think you're going to get much traffic. It's, as we know, it's a stroad. it's a very dangerous street to cross, and you have a lot of residential on Oak Street. Are we planning on tapping into that at all? What's the plan with that? How do residents get to enjoy it without getting killed from traffic?
There
Yeah,
is a
great question.
infrastructure. Oops, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. There is an infrastructure plan that does go along with this document. You can see that we are making roadway improvements we're widening the sidewalk on the south side of Oak Street and Oak Street Extension. There'll be a new intersection at the gateway to the off of Reservoir Street, where we'll be adding improved crosswalks and cross timing. Likewise, where Lindell Street comes through, that's currently a paper street. We'll probably see a new traffic signal there and some pedestrian improvements on that side of the street. And that will be able to connect nicely north and south with the neighborhood. Likewise, we'll see some improvements under the Route 24 to make that crossing from one side of the 24 to the other to get in here. We'll have some new internal streets as Lindell gets built out, and a new secondary street that crosses just north of where this office lab building is. So it'll take some of the direct traffic off of direct pedestrian traffic off of the Oak Street and allow people to move through the site a little bit better.
I think
And
if
we
you made,
heard that during the planning process.
yeah, I think
Sorry,
I
go
had
ahead.
mentioned this in a previous meeting, but I think if you were, if we were purposeful about, lining Oak Street with street trees and putting protection in, you could really stretch that in to tap into DW, where you have people,
Definitely.
using bicycles and going, using that if they felt safe. If they're not safe and nothing gets done on Oak Street, forget it. But you could tap into that by making it safe. So
Yeah,
my last question. So by making this change to an urban development, you're including all techniques, including eminent domain, correct?
correct.
Okay. And would that be for parts of the brook and the businesses and just, throughout the
Yes.
entire project? Okay. All right. I just want to get a good
Yes.
understanding.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Right, any other board members with questions? Okay, is this open to public comment?
Yes, it is, ma'am. So, ladies and gentlemen, attendees, if you have any questions about what you've just heard, or would like to make some comments, please use the raise your hand icon. You can find that icon at the bottom of your screen by using the raise your hand icon at the bottom, and we will open up your microphone. And I see Attorney Burke. I'm turning on your microphone, sir. And you
Rob.
should be able to speak now.
If you can hear me. Thank you. It's an exciting
Yes, sir.
project. I was wondering, for your manufacturing uses that you're identifying, what uses are going to be allowed within the district?
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to bring that back up again. The primary focus of this district is life sciences and healthcare. And so the uses that we see that you see manufacturing, is people are going to say, oh my God, this is the end of the world. No, what we're talking about is life science manufacturing, biomanufacturing. So these are people who are making things like prosthetics or medical devices, or they're making small pharmaceutical batches, but it's not like a big plant. So there will be new definitions that we include in our zoning ordinance that makes it very clear that that is when that gets adopted, that is what we're looking for. So we're not looking for somebody to come and build Ford cars, but heart pumps and things like that would be a really great opportunity. And thank you for asking that question, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else, folks?
I guess not. Should we move on to a motion? Is there a motion?
I'll motion to recommend favorably.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call. Matthew,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Marty? You're on mute, Marty. Still on mute. Well, she's figuring that out. James?
Yes.
All right. So yes from Tony. We're just waiting for Marty. You want to type in your answer?
Yeah, if you want to type in on the chat, it'll be recorded.
Okay, yes.
There we have it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Rob. Okay,
Thank you all.
moving on to site plan review extension request for 26 School Street. We have Representative Atomic Ant Construction.
If you could raise your hand so I know who to move over. I think that is Eduardo Hernandez, is that correct? Would the applicant for 26 School Street please use the raise your hand icon so I can move you over? Evan, do you see them in the room?
It might be Carlos Ferreira.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to find who it is.
Oh, there's Carlos Ferreira. Thank you. I'll move him over. I see him now. I know he is there. I'm promoting Carlos. And then Carlos, if you could tell me who else is in your group, we'll move them over.
I'm here. Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Carlos, is there anybody else with your group making a presentation?
No, just me.
Just you. Okay, thank you.
So basically, this is regarding 26 School Street. We had about a year ago, we had we sold the property to another developer, Nelson Group, a developer from Medford. And I've been working with him to prepare the drawings. So most recently, about a month ago, we submitted all the plans to the building department, and we are waiting for the review of the plans so we can actually apply for a building for start construction of the project. On the meantime, I think our original permit is about to expire in September or October, and we are requesting a sort of a 1-year extension. So just so we don't, get the permits and our planning board permits expired.
All right.
So to jog people's memories, 26 School Street is downtown. It is east of Main Street. It is just west of where Mass Hire has their offices. It's an old bank building. It's currently a vacant lot, and they are proposing a 6-story, if I remember correctly, mixed-use development with some ground floor active uses and a really innovative design for the parcel. And it was approved probably 2 years ago by this board, and they're just looking for a 1-year extension to their permit so that they can start now that they have their engineering team together.
Right. Thank you, Rob. Is there a motion?
On the motion, can I just have a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So was this the building that has restaurant space in the bottom floor, and you had kind of built out restaurant space there? I believe it was. Was it a 7-floor proposal?
Yeah, it was garage. Yeah, it's a 7-story, so it's garage on the first floor and 6 stories. I mean, we have like a space big enough that can fit a restaurant, but it's a commercial space. We didn't assign for either or restaurant or retail.
Was it presented as a restaurant when you came before us?
I don't think we presented as restaurant. I don't think like we gave any use for that space.
We did say that it was big enough for a restaurant, and we certainly have our fingers crossed, but
Yes.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one there. Okay, thank you.
it's hard to remember.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, roll call, Matthew,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you, Carlos. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Yes.
Next we have return to ZBA, 412 Center Street. JK Holmgren Engineering.
I'm moving Scott over now.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members.
Hi, Scott.
Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering for 412 Center Street. I'd like to share my screen if I may, Madam Chair. Then I'd like to hand it over to Attorney Burke, who should be online. Rob, if you could bring him forward.
I think Attorney Burke is still
I
in
got
the
him.
room. Got him? You got him.
All right.
Yeah, he's coming over.
All
Be
right.
gentle.
I'll share my screen while Attorney Burke is talking.
Here
But
he is.
as you said, Madam Chair, while we wait on Attorney Burke, it's a return to ZBA. We were denied recently at the ZBA for the construction of a multifamily dwelling here at 412 Center Street. So we've made some changes.
I'm here.
There we go. All right.
Thanks, Scott. So
Yes,
I'll take it, and then Scott will give you the meat of the argument. But basically, this is a kind of a typical Brockton story that we've heard. The developers who purchased the property identified it as a two-family use. In fact, if you look through the assessor's records, which Scott has been kind enough to provide you, it's full of notations identifying it as being a two-family. And that's somewhat understandable because even though it's an R1C zone, virtually the entire street is made up of pre-existing non-conforming uses for multifamily housing. The problem that we discovered in this particular situation when they went and attempt to talk to the building department, and it was determined that it was a R1C use, was that we really don't have the documentation to identify the existence of the two-family going back to 1967, which would in fact make it a pre-existing non-conforming use along with everything else on Center Street in that particular area. As a result, they were required to go ahead and file with the Zoning Board of Appeals. The zoning board was not successful, and you can kind of understand why. The plans, while they were aggressive, lacked a certain clarity. I think there was some confusion of all the parties involved in what the intent was. And in fact, they were expanding the footprint of the unit. They were making an attempt to make it less non-conforming in the frontage, or the setback, excuse me, which I'm not sure is particularly helpful, since virtually the entire street is basically on Center Street. The plans also weren't totally consistent with the design. So they've come back and they are bringing to you a rehab on the same footprint of the current use, which is a dilapidated structure, which essentially does not have economic value as a single-family residence. It has an existing two-family use, even though it's not legally allowed right now, and we're going to look to try to get some relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals. The property is got ample parking. We see 8 spaces to the rear. And it is a very, very narrow lot, which is one of the issues that I will raise with the Zoning Board of Appeals. I will also raise the issue with the Zoning Board of Appeals that the existence of a non-conforming structure that with substantial repairs and requirements that don't meet code would require a hardship in terms of trying to convert it back to a single-family structure. The investment would virtually necessitate that it continue with its existence as a 2-family structure. It's not an easy one, I understand, but this is going to be a major improvement on the existing condition on Center Street. It will blend in. You've got some plans that Scott's going to show you. Will blend in extremely well with the existing neighborhood. And I think it's an absolute plus for the surrounding neighborhood. And we're hoping to get the approval of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but initially get your consent to allow us to try to make that step. So Scott, do you want to give him the
Sure.
materials?
Yeah,
Thank you, Attorney Burke. Scott, before you jump in,
I'm here.
what
I'm
was
here.
the original basis of the original denial?
They were essentially identifying that the plans did not materially conform to the plans that were submitted, which was a major finding of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And these plans will in fact conform to the proposed development of the property. That was essentially the major thrust, if I can, of the denial, because it looked like it was a development plan that was on the fly and was not consistent with what they had initially proposed. They also tend to submit that the units would negatively impact the orderly development of the neighborhood, which I just think with probably artful language relating to the 40A district. However, I mean, it's inconsistent with reality because the entire developed neighborhood is multifamily. So it would be an orderly development consistent with the existing neighborhood.
Okay. I know I'm going a little bit out of order, but because this is a request to return to ZBA, I want Scott to zone in on issues that, can I ask James, can you speak to the issues and concerns?
Yeah, it was just the layout, so I'm interested to see what Mr. Farrier has compared to what he presented last time, so which would deem a significant change in my mind. So just seeing what they have versus what they had previously presented.
What was the specific issues with the layout, if you remember?
Did you folks have it coming, was the porch part of the?
We did have a front porch proposed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest issue, Madam Chair and Mr. Sweeney, was just the size of the proposed structure. It was just much bigger than what's there now, even though it was still currently a 2-family and proposed to be a 2-family. But it was just as you can see, the plan that I'm sharing, it was just a very big structure. You know, from what's there now, we had 6 parking spaces. So it just seemed like everything was really kind of getting jammed in there. Is how
A little too much for the lot is probably how they saw it.
That's exactly, and I think we've had that exact conversation with the Board of Appeals on other jobs. It just seems like it's just, even though it doesn't in this case, but even though a particular house may meet the zoning requirements, it just looks like it's just too big of a building for the property. So I think that's what we had here. So if you look at this was the originally submitted plan that was denied, a big footprint with 6 parking spaces. Our new plan is just sticking with the existing footprint and just remodeling it to make it a more modern 2-family, just to increase the living space, but holding the exact same footprint. By doing that, we can increase some parking and get 8 parking spaces in the back enhancing the landscaping a little bit. We've got a couple of proposed trees across the front, so it's not, right now up and down this end of Center Street, there isn't really all that much for trees on anybody's property. So we've got two proposed shade trees. And again, we're holding that existing footprint, so it's we feel like it's in harmony with the neighborhood because it's been there for over 100 years in the neighborhood, looking exactly like that. So I think we've addressed the issue of whether or not it's in harmony with the neighborhood, hopefully.
And could I just ask, what's the square footage difference between the previously and this new proposal?
The new proposal has, again, it's the same footprint, Mr. Sweeney, but it's a full-blown 3 stories, 2.5 stories, essentially like all these other 2 families that we're doing in Brockton. The first unit is on the first floor. The second unit gets the second and third floor with a little bit of a loft space. So it ends up being over 2,400 square feet of living space.
And
1,200 square feet on the first floor. And I believe with the loft up above on the third floor, it's like 1,800 on the third floor. So a good size, a good size multi-bedroom rental unit, which we don't have all that many of. So, I think an improvement that way.
So Scott, just did this square footage change at all, or did just the shape of it?
Yeah, not the footprint. We're just going up, basically.
Okay.
So it's the exact same footprint, the same. It's roughly about a 1,200 square foot footprint. So it's exactly the same.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Scott?
Nothing at all, Madam Chair.
Questions from other board members?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Marty.
Thank you, Orlando. It looks to me as though it's gonna fit right into the neighborhood. But I do have one question. Tell me about the parking. So 2 families will live there.
Correct. So-
Granted, they may have more than 1 car, but 8
Yep.
spaces?
Yeah, you're right. It's again, the common problem, common issue that we run up with on the ZBA. The zoning requires 2 spaces per unit. We've got 2 units. Zoning would require 4 spaces. It typically comes up at the ZBA, that we need more spaces based on how many bedrooms are in the proposed dwelling. So in this case, as you said, there's with 2 families, there's a good chance that there'd be more than 4 vehicles on the property. So we have 8 spaces that we're proposing. Right now, they just have a driveway and probably 3 spaces that they're using. So we're proposing 8 spaces for our permit.
And Scott, how many bedrooms?
It will be 3 for the first unit and 5 for the second unit.
5 bedrooms for the second unit.
Yeah,
Boy,
it's big, and the way they do it, again, looking at the pretty much all of your 2 families that are being built, the 3 bedrooms on the first floor, the second floor has 3 bedrooms, but because they're building a loft up in the attic space, basically, because they're utilizing the attic space, they get a couple of small bedrooms there. The other plans that you see being built around town, typically the master bedroom gets up on that 3rd floor on that attic space, so it's just 1 bedroom. But in this case, with this floor design, they decided to go with 2 smaller bedrooms up on that 3rd floor loft. So it ends up being 8 bedrooms total.
well, something we need desperately for larger families to rent in the city.
Not everybody can fit in a studio apartment.
No, and there's plenty of families that can only afford a rental rather than to buy a home. So I think that's great.
Agree. Thank you.
And I'm looking at an area view now. This is the yellow house. Is it currently unoccupied?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Yolanda, you had a question?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Scott, I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about the stormwater retention system that you all plan on putting in. Like, do they plan on just like ripping
Yeah.
up the
Nope.
pavement that's currently there, or how do you all
Nope,
plan on doing that?
yeah, that's a good question. As you folks know, over the last couple of years, there's a new stormwater authority in Brockton, stormwater bylaw regulations that require us to file with the stormwater authority for any project, not just a big development, but any project like this. So we do have because we are increasing the impervious area by building this big parking lot. We have a drainage system up in the back, which are proposed leaching catch basins that'll introduce all of the runoff from the parking area, introduce it into the ground, and it's meant to recharge the groundwater and make sure that none of this new parking lot construction gets out to Center Street and further taxes the existing municipal drainage system. And then in addition to that, we have a roof infiltration system. So as part of the remodel, the gutters and downspouts are piped underground into this roof recharge system. So no longer do you have gutters and downspouts that spill over the driveway and would eventually go out to Center Street. So all of the impervious area on the property will now be infiltrated and have no runoff out onto Center Street.
Okay. So will there be, is it just the front will have green space and like, I guess, yeah, or is it?
Yeah, that's,
the
yeah,
back?
it pretty much as is. There's, you know, a little bit of green space alongside the house, and then, you know, about 20 feet of lawn space in the front. As I said, we're proposing 2 shade trees on either side of the existing utilities. You know, there would be enough room for 3 or 4 trees, but with those utilities, we certainly don't want any planting. So we've proposed 2 shade trees as part of this proposal.
Okay. Thanks for the information.
Thank you.
All right, Matthew, anything?
Will there be a need for a fire suppression system within the building?
Not for a 2-family.
No. Okay. Is that just for 3s and above or 4s and above?
It's 3s and above.
3s and above. Okay. Got it. Yeah. All the other questions were covered by the rest of the board, so I'm good.
Thank you.
Is this open to public?
Madam Chair, I do have one more question, if I can.
Sure.
Scott, do you have the plans for the building itself available for us to take a look at right now?
Don't know if I,
And while he's trying to find those plans, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any public comment, please use the raise your hand icon. And when I see that go on and they're done with the questions, I'll unlock your microphones.
there we go. I'm hoping this worked, Mr. Sweeney. All right. If I may jump on Mr. Sweeney's question, Madam Chair?
Yeah, yes, we're looking at, I don't think that's what he asked for.
We're looking at the cover plans,
It's coming.
cover page.
There we go. So, right here, as you can see, are the existing plans, basement, first floor, second floor. As we kind of scroll through, I'll try to, that's basically the existing home, as Madam Chair said, kind of a yellow house that's currently vacant. So that's the existing. And the proposed, I'll get to the elevation so you can look at it. That's what the proposed house will look like. So again, same footprint, just much taller. Right now you've got essentially a story and a half, maybe you would call it 2 stories. So we're really adding that 3rd story to the building. Footprint staying the same. The front porch is still the same, just being rebuilt. And
Okay, I
then
think this is beneficial for everybody. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so public section's closed. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Matthew,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Attorney Burke.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, folks. Have a good evening. See you soon.
Thank you both.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, next up is 30 Interville Street. I'm just reviewing this again because it's very convoluted, but it's my understanding that there's information that was requested has not been provided, so there's nothing for the board to hear. this can either be continued or the applicant can decide to take the plan down altogether. So is the applicant here?
They are, Chairman. Would you like to let them speak?
I think at this point, the board can make a decision to continue this until they provide the information requested, which exactly, what is the information? Is it for conservation? They did not provide the information conservation needs?
No, they're done with conservation. Conservation has approved them. They've gotten an order of conditions. The piece of information that has yet to be answered had to do with the exterior of the building. We were working through it. They were given a review comment back in January, I think it was, when the last tech review was. We expected everything to be all set for tonight. But then we had asked some clarifying questions so we would know how to move forward so that we could have the discussion and figure out how to work this out for everybody. But from that point on, we just never got a clear answer. So if they are willing to work with us moving forward, we can work with them as well to find a solution prior to the meeting next month, if that's what the board would like to do.
Rob, just correct me if I'm wrong, then the board can either, the applicant can ask for a continuance at this time, or the board would just vote to deny because the information is not available for our decision.
Madam Chair, you can't vote to deny. It's a site plan review. It's a approved use. They've been approved at zoning. We just have to craft the development in a way that has the best outcome for everyone. And that process is currently still ongoing. So it wouldn't be a denial. It would just be a push it back a month.
This is a first in my, I think, 7 years of being on the board that I've heard applicants not providing the information and there being seems like some tension or inappropriate behavior. So I'm kind of stuck. Is the applicant on?
Madam Chair, if I could.
Sure, Marty, just 1 second. Who is the representative for this PMP Consulting? Who's here for them?
There are 3 with their hands raised. Would you like to hear from them?
I want to, Marty, what were you going to say?
I was going to suggest that we ask them if they would ask for a continuance.
Well, yeah, that's why I was asking who's here. So who's going to speak out of the 3? Just one? Are you going to request a continuance?
Can I just remind the board, you don't need a requested continuance. The board can vote to just continue if they want to.
All right, there's a motion for continuance.
Motion to continue.
Second that.
Okay, roll call. Yolando.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Marty.
Yes.
Matthew.
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right. Thank you. Okay, I think that completes our agenda for the evening. On that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Yolando.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Marty.
Yes.
Matthew.
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thanks